This is the GitHub repository that contains the files to follow along. It is very simple and you can just download it and use it. It follows the structure and naming of this course. So for this clip, I'll use this code, which is a very simple static web application. It only consists of an HTML page with some CSS and JavaScript. Here it is in Windows Explorer. So let's try this out. This is what it looks like. Very simple, and the functionality comes from the JavaScript file. Nice, right? Let's run this thing in Azure. So in the Azure portal, we go to the main menu, and here we click Create a Resource. Okay, now here I'll search for Static Web App, and here it is. This is a service in Azure that is made for this exact scenario, host a static web app. Let's create it. This is the create blade for this service. For most services this looks the same. Almost always it starts by selecting the subscription that this service will be created for. I have just one subscription, so that's simple. And next I need to select a resource group, so a folder to put it in. I'll pick this one. Also, I'll give this service a name. This needs to be a unique name, as this name determines its initial DNS name for the URL that you can use through the internet. Alright, now I can choose a hosting plan. This determines the price and the capabilities. Most services have a free tier or something like that for development, and then higher tiers for testing and production. This one is fine. There are some other settings, including where to get the code from to run in this service. That is, in GitHub in our case. When you choose GitHub, you need to log into GitHub, which I already done. So now I pick my account, okay, and the GitHub repository or repo, alright, and next the branch. Azure Static Web Apps can host any static web app and offers a range of options for compiling and deploying it, which depend on the type of app. I don't use any technologies other than HTML, CSS and JavaScript, so custom for me. And then I point it to the path in the GitHub repo. Okay, that's it. Let's create this thing. This can take a minute or so, so I'll skip ahead to when it is done. Here it is. This is the static web app. The code from GitHub will be automatically deployed in it by a GitHub action that is created for me. An action is a script that runs and does things like compile code and deploy it. So let's see. And it is done. Okay, that should be it. Let's go back to the static web app. It should now be available at this address, so let's try it. And here it is, running in Azure. That is pretty cool. And it was simple to do, right? So now that this thing runs in Azure, it will stay up and running without my help. And I now have a ton of features like monitoring, configuration, authentication, and being able to couple a custom domain to it. And by default, the default domain is already secure without me having to buy and assign any certificates. Pretty cool, right?